The last line of defense. Commander Maya Chen stood at the observation deck of Aegis 1, Earth's most advanced defensive platform, watching the emergency beacon signals multiply across the holographic display. What had started as an isolated distress call from the Proxima colony had cascaded into a wave of alerts spanning 3 sectors. 17 mining outposts had gone dark in the past 48 hours. Status report, she called out, her voice steady despite the growing knot in her stomach. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, but she could sense their tension. 23 new contacts detected at the edge of the Arcturus sector, Commander. Lieutenant Sarah Wong reported from her station. Energy signatures match the pattern from the Proxima attack. They're using some kind of phase-shifted weaponry we've never seen before. The alien ships had appeared without warning 3 days ago, bypassing Earth's early warning networks with technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Their first strike had crippled the Proxima colony's defensive grid in minutes. The few survivors described weapons that passed through shields like they weren't there, and hulls that regenerated damage almost instantly. Maya studied the tactical display, her mind racing through options. Aegis 1 was humanity's most sophisticated defensive platform, but it had been designed to counter known threats: pirates, raiders, and the occasional rogue guy. This was something entirely different. Dr. Patel, what's the status of the phase variance analysis? She asked, turning to the station's chief scientist. The elderly physicist had barely left his lab since the first attack. The alien's technology operates on principles we barely understand, Patel replied, his holographic avatar flickering with static. They're using some form of quantum-entangled matter manipulation. Our conventional weapons are practically useless against their shields. Maya nodded grimly. That matched what they'd seen in the combat footage from Proxima. Earth's most powerful weapons had barely scratched the alien vessels. But there was something about their attack pattern that bothered her. Display all enemy movements from the past 72 hours, she ordered. The holographic map shifted, showing the progression of attacks. They're being methodical. Too methodical. Lieutenant Wong looked up from her station. Ma'am, these aren't just random attacks. Look at the pattern. They're systematically targeting our mining operations, but leaving the civilian colonies largely untouched. They want our resources, not our territory. That revelation sparked something in Maya's mind. If the aliens were after resources, maybe they weren't as invincible as they appeared. Every technology, no matter how advanced, required raw materials and energy to function. Dr. Patel, what if we're approaching this wrong? Maya said, excitement creeping into her voice. Instead of trying to overpower their shields, what if we could disrupt the quantum entanglement they're using? The scientist's avatar brightened. Theoretically possible, but we'd need an enormous amount of energy focused in precisely the right quantum frequency. Our weapons aren't designed for that kind of. But our mining equipment is, Maya interrupted. The quantum resonance drills we use for extracting rare earth elements, they operate on similar principles. Understanding dawned on Patel's face. Yes. With modifications, we could potentially create a disruption field that would interfere with their phase-shifting technology. But we'd need dozens of drilling platforms working in concert, and a way to coordinate them precisely. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Then it's a good thing we're humanity's biggest mining coordination hub. Lieutenant Wong, get me a channel to Earth Command. Dr. Patel, I need detailed specifications for the modifications we'll need. And someone find me Captain Morrison. If anyone can coordinate a fleet of mining ships, it's that crazy old asteroid wrangler. As her crew jumped into action, Maya turned back to the tactical display. The alien fleet was still advancing, methodically working their way through humanity's outer resources nodes. They clearly thought their superior technology made them invincible. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its weapons or defenses, but its ability to adapt and improvise. Send an alert to all mining stations in sectors 7 through 12, she ordered. Tell them to prepare for emergency modifications. If these aliens want our resources, let's show them just how resourceful humans can be. The next 12 hours were a blur of activity as Maya coordinated with Earth Command and the scattered mining fleets. The plan was audacious, some would say desperate, but it was the best chance they had. As she watched the first modified mining ships begin to arrive at their rally point, Maya couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity might be outgunned and outmatched in conventional terms, but they had something these aliens clearly didn't expect: the ability to look at their tools in entirely new ways. Soon, they would learn that picking a fight with humans meant dealing with an enemy who could turn mining equipment into weapons and civilian ships into warships. The real question was whether they could spring their trap before the aliens realized what was happening. As if in answer to her thoughts, new alerts began flashing across the tactical display. "Commander," Wang's voice was urgent. "Multiple hostile signatures detected entering the sector. They're heading straight for the Aegis 1 platform." Maya straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. "Right on schedule. Send the signal to the mining fleet. Let's show these aliens why you should never underestimate humanity's creativity." The battle for Earth's outer colonies was about to begin, and humanity's last line of defense wasn't a fleet of warships or advanced weapons. It was a hodgepodge array of mining vessels commanded by a station chief who refused to accept defeat. The human factor. Captain Jack Morrison's weathered hands moved across the controls of the rockbreaker with practiced ease, guiding the massive mining vessel through the debris field that used to be Outpost 7. 30 years of asteroid mining had taught him to read the void like others read books, and right now space was telling him a story he didn't like. "They're too precise," he muttered, studying the destruction pattern through the ship's enhanced viewport. "No wasted energy, no collateral damage. These aren't warriors, they're harvesters." The comm system crackled to life with Commander Chen's voice from Aegis 1. "Captain Morrison, status report on the fleet modifications." Jack glanced at the status board showing the positions of 200 mining vessels spread across the sector. Each ship had spent the last 8 hours having its quantum resonance drilling equipment repurposed into makeshift weapons. It wasn't pretty, but it was very human. 70% complete, he replied, watching as another group of indicators turned green. "My crews are working miracles out here, Commander. Never seen miners move this fast unless there was premium pay or free beer involved." A quiet chuckle came through the comm. "How about saving Earth? Is that motivation enough?" "It'll do in a pinch." Jack switched channels to address the fleet. "Listen up, you rock-hopping lunatics. I know most of you joined the mining corps because you wanted to get away from people, not save them. But right now, we're all that stands between these aliens and Earth." He paused, watching the status updates continue to flow in. "They think their fancy technology makes them invincible. They think we're just primitive humans who got lucky enough to reach the stars. But they don't understand something fundamental about our species. We've spent our entire history turning tools into weapons when we needed to." The retrofit crews worked with desperate efficiency, guided by Dr. Patel's specifications. What they were attempting shouldn't have been possible. Converting mining equipment into quantum disruption weapons wasn't exactly covered in the maintenance manual. But humanity had a long history of doing the impossible when its back was against the wall. "Captain," his sensor operator called out, "we're picking up unusual energy signatures from the alien fleet. They're changing course." Jack studied the tactical display, a cold smile spreading across his face. "They've noticed our little gathering. Good. Contact Commander Chen. Tell her the birds are circling the bait." The plan was insane, but those were Jack's favorite kind. The aliens had been systematically harvesting humanity's mining operations, their superior technology making them arrogant and predictable. Now, with 200 mining ships gathered around a particularly rich asteroid field, they'd presented an irresistible target. "All ships, final systems check," Jack ordered, his voice carrying across the fleet. "Remember your training. These bastards think they know mining. Let's show them how humans have been breaking rocks since we first picked up a stone tool. The modified mining ships moved into formation, their improvised weapons systems humming with power that was never meant to be used this way. Regular military vessels would have had proper formation protocols and sophisticated targeting systems. This fleet had grit, determination, and centuries of human ingenuity crammed into mining equipment that had been redesigned in hours. Multiple hostile contacts dropping out of FTL, the sensor operator announced. Counting 15. No, 20 capital ships. They're moving into harvest formation. Jack watched as the alien vessels approached, their sleek designs a stark contrast to the utilitarian bulk of the mining fleet. They were beautiful in their way, all smooth lines and impossible angles that seemed to bend space itself. But they had a fatal flaw. They underestimated their prey. "Commander Chen, they're in position," Jack reported. "Request permission to spring the trap." "Permission granted, Captain. Show them why humanity survived every obstacle Earth could throw at us." Jack took a deep breath, his hand steady on the controls. "All ships, execute pattern Omega. Let's go fishing." The mining fleet burst into action, but not in the panic the aliens might have expected from civilian vessels. Instead, 200 ships moved in perfect coordination, their modified drilling equipment powering up in sequence. Each beam alone might have been useless against the aliens' advanced shields, but together, synchronized to the exact frequency Dr. Patel had calculated, they created something entirely new. "Energy spike," the sensor operator shouted. "The quantum resonance is building faster than predicted." Jack grinned. "That's because these aliens didn't count on human stubbornness. We didn't just modify our equipment, we overclocked it." Status of the disruption field. Field forming, 90%, 100%. "Sir, their ships, their phase shifting technology is fluctuating." The view through the bridge window was spectacular. The alien vessels, caught in the combined quantum disruption field of 200 mining ships, began to lose their impossible smoothness. Their hulls flickered and warped as the very technology that made them seemingly invincible was turned against them. "Now this," Jack said with satisfaction, "is what happens when you corner a species that turned rocks into spaceships. All ships, commence Phase 2. Let's show these harvesters what real mining looks like." Breaking convention. The vast expanse of space lit up as 200 modified mining vessels unleashed their quantum resonance beams against the alien fleet. From her command center on Aegis 1, Commander Chen watched the tactical display with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The aliens' supposedly impenetrable phase shift technology was failing, their ships becoming vulnerable for the first time since the invasion began. "Dr. Patel," Maya called out, "are you seeing this? The disruption effect is spreading faster than your models predicted." The scientist's hologram flickered with excitement. "It's the mining crews. They're not just following the modifications, they're improving them. Each ship's crew is adjusting their resonance frequencies based on decades of mineral extraction experience. They're treating the alien shields like particularly stubborn rock formations." On the main display, the alien vessel's smooth surfaces began to crystallize and fragment. Their organic-looking hulls, once fluid and graceful, now showed the rigid patterns of destabilized quantum fields. But the aliens weren't defeated yet. "Incoming energy spike," Lieutenant Wong shouted. "They're adapting their weapons systems." The alien fleet's response was immediate and devastating. Beams of coherent energy lashed out at the mining ships, but instead of their usual phase-shifted attacks, these were brutal, conventional weapons designed to overwhelm through sheer power. "All ships, evasive maneuvers." Captain Morrison's voice crackled through the command channel. "They can't phase through our shields anymore, but they can still punch straight through them." Maya watched as the mining fleet scattered, using maneuvers that no military tactician would have ever conceived. The ships moved like a swarm of angry insects, their paths seemingly chaotic, but carefully calculated to maintain the quantum disruption field while avoiding enemy fire. They're using asteroid mining patterns, Dr. Patel observed with wonder. Look, those evasion techniques were developed for navigating dense debris fields. The aliens' targeting systems can't predict movements that appear so random. Maya leaned forward, studying the battle with growing excitement. It's more than that. The mining ships are positioning themselves like they're setting up for a complex extraction operation. Captain Morrison, what are you planning? Something crazy, Morrison replied, his voice tight with concentration. These aliens want our resources. Let's show them how we harvest the really difficult ones. All ships, prepare for Operation Crackerjack. The mining fleet's formation shifted again, but this time there was a clear pattern emerging. The ships arranged themselves in concentric rings around the alien fleet, their modified drilling beams adjusting to new frequencies. Commander, Morrison explained, when we encounter a particularly dense asteroid with valuable minerals inside, we don't just blast it apart. We use resonance frequencies to create stress patterns, weakening it along specific fault lines. Think you can handle the calculations for something a bit bigger? Maya turned to Dr. Patel, who was already running simulations. The principle should be the same, the scientist said. If we can coordinate the resonance beams to create interference patterns within their quantum fields. Do it, Maya ordered. Lieutenant Wong, transmit targeting solutions to all ships. Captain Morrison, you have tactical command of the fleet. The next few minutes were a symphony of coordination as 200 mining ships, each crewed by seasoned rockbreakers, applied their years of experience to a completely new kind of mining operation. The alien vessels, their phase shift technology disrupted, found themselves caught in an increasingly complex web of quantum resonance beams. Pattern is stabilizing, Dr. Patel reported. The interference effect is creating stress points in their hull structure. Just like cracking open a geode. Apply pressure in the right places. The first alien ship split apart like an overripe fruit, its quantum field collapsing as the hull fractured along artificially induced stress lines. Others quickly followed, their advanced technology proving useless against mining techniques perfected over centuries of human industrial development. Multiple enemy ships breaking up, Wong announced. They're trying to retreat, but the quantum disruption is preventing FTL jumps. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Maintain the attack pattern. Let's make sure they understand exactly who they're dealing with. The battle continued for another 20 minutes, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. One by one, the alien vessels succumbed to the coordinated assault of the mining fleet. Those that survived were limping away on conventional drives, their once invincible technology rendered useless by human ingenuity. Message from Earth Command, Wong reported. They're picking up similar victories across 3 sectors. The mining fleets are routing the alien forces everywhere they engage. Captain Morrison's tired voice came through the comm. Not bad for a bunch of rockhoppers, eh? Turns out these aliens might be advanced, but they never had to figure out how to crack open a tungsten core asteroid using nothing but modified survey equipment and a lot of creative cursing. Maya nodded, already planning the next phase of operations. Well done, Captain. But this was just one battle. We need to press our advantage while we have it. How long to recharge the resonance beams? For another round of alien mining. Give us 2 hours to cool down the equipment and make some adjustments. My crews are already coming up with improvements to the modification designs. These aliens wanted our resources. They're about to learn that humanity's greatest resource has always been our ability to adapt. As the mining fleet regrouped and began repairs, Maya couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity had taken its first real victory against an overwhelming opponent, not through superior technology or military might, but by turning the tools of industry into weapons of war. It was a lesson the aliens wouldn't soon forget. United we stand. The command center of Aegis I had transformed over the past 72 hours. What began as a defensive platform was now the coordination hub for humanity's most unconventional fleet. Holographic displays showed hundreds of vessels converging from across human space, mining ships, research vessels, cargo haulers, and even private yachts, all modified with quantum resonance technology. Commander Maya Chen stood at the central platform, coordinating with regional defense commands. The alien fleet is regrouping in the Ta Siti sector, she reported to the assembled holographic representatives. They're adapting their tactics, trying to find ways around our resonance weapons. Let them try. Captain Morrison's gruff voice cut in. His hologram showed him standing on the bridge of the rockbreaker, now scared from multiple engagements. Every time they change their approach, we learn more about their technology. My crews have already developed 15 new variations on the resonance frequencies. The tactical display updated, showing the movement of alien forces across 3 sectors. Their once methodical harvest pattern had become erratic, responding to threats from all directions as humanity's improvised fleet struck from unexpected vectors. They're falling back to defensive positions around their resource processing centers, reported Admiral Santos from Earth Command. But we're seeing something interesting. Their ships are becoming less efficient. Dr. Patel, your analysis. The scientist hologram gestured at a series of data streams. Their phase shift technology requires constant maintenance and resupply. By disrupting their harvesting operations, we're forcing them to ration their advanced capabilities. They're having to choose between maintaining their shields or their weapons. Maya studied the tactical overlay. Then we press our advantage. Captain Morrison, how many ships do we have ready for Phase 3? 342 vessels across all sectors, Morrison replied. And that's not counting the fishing trawlers from Europa that just finished their modifications. You should see what those ice miners did with their pressure handling systems. Turned them into something that makes our resonance beams look like mining lasers. The mention of the Europa fleet brought a smile to Maya's face. When word of the mining fleet's success had spread, every human settlement with industrial equipment had begun improvising their own contributions to the war effort. Deep-sea drilling platforms had been converted into mobile defense stations. Atmospheric processors from terraform projects were being repurposed into gravity weapons. The aliens made one crucial mistake, Dr. Patel observed. They assumed that technological superiority guaranteed victory. They never considered that every piece of human technology evolved from solving specific problems. We don't have a single solution. We have thousands of solutions pieced together over centuries of overcoming challenges. Maya nodded. And now we're going to show them what happens when humanity brings all of those solutions to bear at once. Admiral Santos, is the coordination network ready? Online and operational, the Admiral confirmed. We've adapted air traffic control systems to handle the fleet movements. It's not elegant, but it works. Elegant is overrated, Morrison interjected. I've got asteroid miners coordinating with deep-sea operators and orbital construction crews. Everyone's speaking different technical languages, but we all understand the basic principle. Hit the enemy where they're weakest with whatever tools we've got. The tactical display updated again, showing the position of humanity's gathered forces. It was unlike any fleet formation in military history. A vast swarm of civilian vessels repurposed for war, each bringing its own unique approach to the fight. All commands, prepare for coordinated offensive, Maya ordered. Captain Morrison, your mining fleet will take point. Europa Deep Sea Division will provide heavy support. Construction and terraforming units coordinate with Dr. Patel for resonance targeting. The response came from hundreds of vessels across human space, acknowledgments in dozens of professional dialects. From mining jargon to engineering shorthand. This wasn't a military operation with strict protocols and procedures. This was humanity doing what it did best, adapting, innovating, and refusing to back down. The alien fleet is responding, Lieutenant Wong reported. They're moving to engage, but their formation is odd. They appear to be protecting something. Dr. Patel's hologram flickered with excitement. Energy readings from the center of their formation. It's massive. Could be their command and control center, or possibly their main resource processing hub. Either way, it's critical to their operations, Maya concluded. Captain Morrison, adjust the fleet's approach vector. All ships, prepare for maximum resonance output. Let's show these aliens why humans are the galaxy's greatest scrappers. The improvised fleet moved with surprising coordination, each ship falling into patterns borrowed from their civilian operations. Mining vessels moved like they were approaching unstable asteroids. Deep-sea vessels applied underwater navigation techniques to three-dimensional space combat. Construction ships positioned themselves with the precision learned from assembling orbital stations. Enemy fleet engaging, Wong announced. They're holding back their phase shift technology, conserving it. They're running scared, Morrison said with satisfaction. They finally realized they're not fighting a primitive species. They're fighting generations of human problem-solving compressed into a single moment. Maya watched as humanity's fleet closed with the alien formation. This wasn't just a battle. It was a demonstration of everything that made humans unique. Where the aliens had developed a single, overwhelming technology, humanity had developed thousands of specialized tools and techniques. And now, each of those solutions was being turned against an enemy that never saw them as a threat. All ships, commence attack pattern Delta, she ordered. Let's remind these aliens why you should never corner a species that turned rocks into spaceships, oceans into harbors, and the void itself into a highway to the stars. Victory through innovation. The final battle for human space unfolded like no conflict in history. 342 civilian vessels turned warships surrounded what they now knew was the alien central processing hub, a massive structure that pulsed with the same quantum energy that powered their phase shift technology. But unlike their previous encounters, the aliens weren't retreating. They're committing everything to this defense, Captain Morrison reported from the Rockbreaker's command deck, picking up energy signatures from at least 60 capital ships. They're drawing power directly from the processing hub. Commander Chen studied the tactical display aboard Aegis I, watching as the alien fleet arranged itself in layered defensive formations around their critical facility. They're desperate. Dr. Patel, what are you seeing? The scientist's analysis came quickly. The hub is acting as a power source for their entire fleet. It's why they've been so focused on harvesting our resources. They need raw materials to fuel their quantum technology. Without this facility, their technological advantage becomes unsustainable. Then that's our target, Maya decided. But a direct assault would be costly, even with our resonance weapons. Captain Morrison, remember what you said about cracking open the tough ones. A chuckle came through the comm. Already ahead of you, Commander. Europa Deep Sea Division. Present your solution. The tactical display shifted to highlight a group of converted ice mining vessels from Europa. Their chief engineer, Dr. Sarah Blackwood, appeared on the command channel. We've modified our pressure handling systems based on our experience mining through Europa's ice sheets. Instead of trying to brute force through tough material, we use pressure differentials to create structural weaknesses. Combined with our resonance technology, Dr. Patel began, we can create a cascading failure in their quantum field. Blackwood finished. But we'll need to get close, real close, like mining through active geysers close. Maya nodded. Captain Morrison, can your mining fleet clear a path? With pleasure. All mining vessels form up on attack pattern Sigma. We're going prospecting. The battle began with humanity's signature improvisation. Mining ships launched resonance attacks in seemingly random patterns, creating gaps in the alien defense that made no sense from a military perspective, but made perfect sense to anyone who had ever picked apart an asteroid field. Construction units, move into position, Maya ordered. Use your station assembly experience. I want precision positioning around that hub. The alien fleet responded with overwhelming force, their weapons blazing with power drawn directly from their processing center. But humanity's fleet moved like a swarm of insects, each ship applying decades of specialized experience to a new kind of problem. Multiple enemy ships attempting to flank our western approach, Lieutenant Wong reported. Let them, Morrison replied. Fishing Fleet Bravo, show them your nets. A group of converted fishing vessels sprung their trap, deploying modified trawling fields that played havoc with the aliens' quantum systems. It wasn't elegant, but there was a certain poetry in seeing deep-sea fishing techniques adapted to space warfare. "You're up a division. You have your opening," Maya announced. "Begin your approach." The ice mining vessels moved with precision born from years of navigating through unstable ice sheets. Their modified pressure systems began to pulse in harmony with the mining fleet's resonance weapons, creating complex interference patterns in the quantum fields surrounding the hub. "Enemy fleet responding," Wong called out. "They're realizing what we're targeting." The alien vessels broke formation, desperately trying to intercept the Europa division. But this was exactly what humanity's impromptu fleet had trained for. Construction ships used their precision maneuvering to block enemy approaches. Terraforming vessels created gravitational disturbances that scattered alien formations. "Pressure systems at maximum output," Blackwood reported, her voice steady despite the chaos around her ships. "Beginning final approach. Morrison, we need that resonance field expanded by another 12%. "You heard the lady," Morrison barked. "All mining ships, push those modifications to the limit. Show these aliens what human engineering tolerances really mean." The combined effect of hundreds of specialized systems, each adapted from civilian use, created something unprecedented. The aliens' quantum fields began to fluctuate wildly, their carefully controlled phase shift technology turning against them as pressure differentials and resonance waves tore through their defenses. "Energy spike from the hub," Dr. Patel warned. "They're trying to power through our attack." "That's their mistake," Maya said with grim satisfaction. "All ships, full power to your systems. Let's show them what happens when you push humans to innovate." The final moments of the battle were spectacular. The alien processing hub, struck by the combined force of humanity's improvised weapons, began to break apart from within. Its quantum fields collapsed in a cascade of energy, taking their fleet's power source with it. "Multiple enemy ships losing power," Wong reported. "Their phase shift technology is failing across all sectors." "Status of the hub," Maya demanded. "Complete structural failure," Dr. Patel confirmed. "Their entire quantum network is collapsing, without the hub to maintain it." The alien fleet, suddenly stripped of its technological advantage, began to retreat. Their once imposing ships, now unable to maintain their phase shift capabilities, fled using conventional drives. "Should we pursue?" Morrison asked. Maya watched the tactical display as the remaining alien vessels disappeared into FTL. "No, let them go. Let them tell others what they found here. A species that turned mining tools into weapons, fishing boats into warships, and civilian technology into the downfall of an advanced alien fleet." As the human fleet regrouped and began assessing damage, Maya couldn't help but feel pride in what they'd accomplished. Humanity had faced an overwhelming technological advantage and won, not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through the traits that had defined their species since they first looked up at the stars: adaptability, creativity, and the stubborn refusal to accept defeat. "All ships begin recovery operations," she ordered. "And someone get me a damage report. I want to know how many mining lasers we burned out while saving human space." "Already on it," Morrison replied cheerfully. "Though I think we're going to need to rewrite a few equipment warranties after this. Pretty sure quantum combat wasn't covered in the original documentation." As laughter rippled through the command channel, Maya smiled. The aliens had come expecting to harvest humanity's resources. Instead, they'd learned about humanity's greatest resource: the ability to take any tool, any technology, any challenge, and turn it into an opportunity for innovation. The stars had witnessed something unprecedented. A species that proved technological superiority meant nothing when faced with human ingenuity. And somewhere out there, a defeated alien fleet was carrying a message to the galaxy. Humanity wasn't just another civilization to be harvested. They were a force of nature, capable of turning the mundane into the extraordinary. And they were here to stay.